So it is Sunday morning, August 7th, according to the date on my computer, at about 8:15 a.m. And there's a lot on my mind today. Um, Lots of things about this energetic forecast are coming up. And I wasn't really sure whether or not I wanted to do it or, kind of go with a different topic, but I kept circling back and circling back. And so I decided I'm going to go ahead and go with it and kind of just share what's going on so that everyone is aware of it. The energies right now are very direct. They are taking us on an upward spiral. I was thinking about this morning that it was this time 13 years ago that I began my high priestess training in Atlanta with two of my teachers, and it was a very difficult time. That work pretty much turned me inside out. And ironically, at the end of this month, I'm going to start my final phase of that mystery school. And I'm already starting to kind of feel the churn and the burn. And I realized that 13 years later, I've circled back, but at a higher level to begin, kind of that final leg of that journey. And then hopefully carry that work forward in my own work, for the remainder of my days. But that's kind of where the energies are going. It feels that if there are things that you do not have closure with, or people that, you have either walked away from or are no longer in contact with, or that you need to fulfill whatever agreement you have with them, that we're all circling back to close the loop, so to speak. That was the word that kept coming this morning when I was out getting my coffee and taking care of, kind of walking ironically through the cemetery early this morning to clear my head. So it's a spiral motion, but it's not a downward spiral, it's an upward spiral. And what I have found and what was shown was that the downward spirals are easy to do. They go quick. It's the upward spirals, kind of like when you're walking up a hill or you're climbing a steep upgrade. It's those upward treks that are the hardest. They make you work the hardest. They make you work muscles you didn't know that you had. You become winded easier. And it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. But you know that once you get up to the top of whatever hill you're climbing, that you can kind of pause for a minute, rest, survey your surroundings, and then the downhill to the other side of that hill is going to be a heck of a lot easier than what it was going up. And that is the general message. For me, as I translate this energy and these messages, what I've noticed is that people are stepping outside of their comfort zone. They are being asked to to not only reach forward, but reach back and, either make your peace with people or are being put into situations to where you're being asked to set aside personal agendas, set aside your personal feelings towards maybe people or situations, and make nice, as they say. It can be very challenging, and one of the things that was suggested, and one of the things that came out in my writing this morning as well, was that we have to come from a place of wholeness. We have to come from a place of stillness when there is, people having drama or chaotic situations or things that happen beyond our control that impact us. And that if we come at this from a place of panic, what's going to happen is that energy is going to kind of boomerang back and boomerang us. So that energy, as it comes, if we come from a place of panic, reacting to the panic, so if panic meets panic, anger meets anger, resentment meets resentment, what it's going to do is pretty much double up and it's going to be worse than it was from the initial reaction. And that gives you a moment to kind of just pause and reflect and think about that. We all need to work, I think, on remaining calm. I know for me, I have a temper. I do try to come from a place of being very unbiased. I was talking to a friend Friday night here at the house, and one of the things that came up was that we have to remember our value. We have to remember our worth. And that there are going to be people and situations out there that, whether it is intentional or not, they will try to devalue us. They will try to dismiss us or debase us or make us feel unworthy. And that is something that, as we kind of make this upward spiral, that we have to remember is all the work we've done to get to this point. You can't dismiss where you've been. You can't dismiss your past. And yes, focusing on the present and the right now is fantastic. But we also have to remember that everything that we have done up until this very moment, like where I'm at this very moment, has influenced who we are, has influenced the choices and the decisions that we've made to where we're at currently in our life. I was looking at some old pictures last night of me from 10 years ago, actually, and I am I'm thinner, I'm older, I'm wiser, I hope. But I look at that person in the pictures of me, and actually the photo was a picture of someone that I was extremely close to, and that they're no longer part of my life, or have been for a couple of years. And that was my choice. But I still see the woman that I am now in the woman that is in those photos. And while my circumstances and my life have drastically changed since then, the landscape looks completely different. I still remember that moment, and I still remember that energy around that day when those photos were taken. And part of me, on a cellular level, remembers that. And it was like, what do we need to do to bring this forward? What do we need to do to remember that? Because that was a time, for me, it was a really good time. And it was also one of those moments where I felt really, fully present and fully in my power and fully just happy and integrated. And part of my heart and part of my soul, I think, longs for that reconnection. And there are times that you're going to feel disconnected. And I think as you kind of trek up the hill and you are working to get to that summit, you're going to disconnect. You're going to check out of your body. You're going to maybe just check out emotionally, and just get through this next leg, get through that next 10 minutes, that next 30 seconds, the next mile, whatever that is. And we don't stay connected. And it's when we get to the top that we're still not connected, and we don't take the time to really fully plug into, appreciate the walk, the journey, the ride. And I'm sure many of us out there, including myself, we feel that. We feel this trek. I know for me, I'm working hard. I'm working hard on the exterior of myself right now. I started working out with a trainer about a week ago, and I was doing planks in the middle of my living room floor in a dress. I have never felt more self-conscious or more ridiculous in my entire life than it was at that moment. But it was also very much a learning experience, because I have to, for me, get over being ashamed of my body, ashamed of how I look, because I know that physically I have changed over the last year a great deal. Emotionally, I've changed a great deal. But what I find is that when I'm vulnerable or when I'm uncomfortable or when I'm put in situations that are outside of my comfort zone, that I tend to want to crawl back in and revert back to old ways that I can't be anymore. And so what I ended up doing was doing these things in the middle of my living room. And I chuckled later, and the next day when I was at work, I was talking to one of my staff, and I told them what happened. And you have to laugh. You have to be able to have a sense of humor about things. And while at the time it was just like I wanted the ground to open up and, swallow me, because I was not comfortable doing this. It was also a very vulnerable piece too, because this person was seeing me in a way they normally didn't see me. And while I kept saying I couldn't do it, I managed to do it. And so, I've kept doing it. It's gotten a little bit easier. I joke and, I kind of hobble around a bit, but I'm working. I'm climbing the hill. I'm trying to, improve my physical health, and I'm trying to work on it also at the same time, improve my emotional fortitude. When you say you can't do something, you're literally telling the universe, okay, I can't do this. And they're going to go, okay, here, let's make it so you can't. And so what I said was, I'll try. I'm going to do this. I may not do it in the full way that it should, but I'm going to work up to that. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. And I think the forecast for this week is very in tune with that. It is, do what you can. If you can't do it the way that you want to do it, at least do something. Because what that's going to do is that every trek, every step is going to take you further up the spiral, further up to where and closer to where you want to be. And it's going to put you one step closer to the summit. For some of you, it may be that you're at the summit and you're looking down and you're looking back and you're going, gosh, that was so hard, or that was easier than I thought it was. And you're taking time to observe your landscape. And then there are some folks that are kind of in the middle of the track, and they're off the bike, they're walking the bike, they're walking themselves, or they're just standing in the middle of this steep incline and they're panting, they're going, I can't do this. But somehow, some way, while you say you can't do this, your feet keep moving and you keep walking and you're keeping going. And so there may be some with some extraordinarily difficult circumstances. And what we have to do is adjust and stay focused on right now, but also remember what brought you to that point. There's going to be feelings that come up. There's going to be old feelings that come up. And some of those feelings, when feelings come up like that, they're meant to be cleared or they're meant to be dealt with. And part of the process, I think, for all of us is to learn to maybe step back and realize that you are a different person than you were in that moment. For when, say something happened to you and that you remember those things. I know for me, this is a pretty catalytic, the next, August, September, October are very catalytic months for me. There's a lot of personal things, not so great things that in the past have happened to me. And I'm a date person. I remember dates incredibly well. And so I remember these things, and I dread October. For me, it's an emotionally difficult month, and as the calendar approaches that closer, I kind of gird my loins and kind of solid my core up, because I know that while nothing has happened in those months, I can still remember those experiences that still kind of, on those anniversaries, that still kind of haunt me. And I have to remember that, while those things did occur, time has passed. I'm a different person. I have either come to terms and dealt with it, or I'm coming to terms and dealing with it. And that may be something for you. You may have some unexpected changes where you may have to make a decision that's going to change your life in an instant. I was watching a Tony Robbins documentary, and what he says is that our life changes in moments. It changes in one breath. And we choose, that moment we choose, we change our life. And that is something I've been kind of watching my friends list, and I've noticed that there are people that have had to make life-changing decisions in a matter of a minute or so, and then have to execute within an hour, a couple hours. And that means uprooting everything they've known. It means, you know, not only impacting themselves, but, you know, kids and family and just things around them. And, you know, lives are shattered in just a second. And then it takes, you know, hours, days, weeks, months to kind of regain your equilibrium and circle back. And then in the meantime, you still have to get propelled forward because there's still things to do. Life still happens. Life doesn't stop just because we've had this, you know, bomb or house fall on us. We still have to dig out and keep going. But what you're being asked to do is to stretch, is to look beyond just in this moment of, oh shit, I've got all this stuff going on, is just knowing that you take it a bite at a time, you take it a breath at a time. I know for me, this is going to, I've been kind of functioning on a day thing. Let me get through today. Let me get through tomorrow. I'm not planning much beyond a week or two. And that may be kind of limiting my tunnel vision, but what that's allowing me to do is to really focus on right now. And I was talking to a friend Friday, and one of the things, and I was discussing a situation with her, and I told her, I said, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with this, but what I do know is that no matter what happens with it, I'm in it, and I have to take it day by day. I don't know what's going to happen, but right now I'm focusing on today, tomorrow, getting through each day. But I know that I can't get off the ride. I know that I have to see it through to the end, because there is a lesson here. There's a blessing here. There's some kind of thing that on some level I need to learn the situation, and the other people that are involved in it also have to learn. And that's just something that we have to remember, is that we're all in this together. So, you know, if you're not feeling connected, reach out. Grab somebody, say, hey, let's hang out. Let's talk. And I can tell you, this person I adore. She's one of my personal heroes, actually. And we've been friends for a while. She started out as a client, and now she's one of my people. And talking to her, as we found out that evening, we got a lot of the same things going on. And it was nice to just be genuine and be real, and kind of not be on, but just kind of be in that space of being heard and being seen. And we were doing this exchange with each other. And it was very therapeutic. It was very healing. It gave me some clarity. It gave me some perspective. It allowed the energies to move. So if you are feeling isolated, please talk to somebody. Pick up the phone, send them an email, get on Facebook, Skype, Kik, whatever you do, and say, hey, I want to talk to you. I want to see you. I want to hear what's going on with you. Because maybe by hearing someone else's life, what's going on with them, you may find some similar situations or parallels, and may gain a new perspective. And all the while, you're going to have a buddy with you on that upward climb. So with that being said, that's going to be the energetic forecast for the week. It's going to be keep walking, keep trekking up, keep spiraling up. There is no down. We all have had those moments of when we are, at the bottom. And if you do suffer from depression or PTSD or any kind of emotional issues, you may find that those are kind of amped up over the next week or so. And understand, it will pass, but do what you need to do to take care of yourself. But whatever you do, don't isolate. Even if it means just one person, there has to be someone in your life that is safe, that you can reach out and hang on to and say, can you hold my hand through this? Can you walk with me for just a little bit? Because I'm not feeling real steady on my feet right now. And that way, you keep moving forward, they move forward, and then at the next point when maybe they're faltering, you can reach back and say, hey, come on, I got your back, I got you here. Let's go. You did this, you held my hand, let me hold yours. And we'll get through this together. So I wish you a great week, and have a wonderful Sunday, and we will catch you next time. Thanks.